All right, moving on. The Boston Bruins last year, one of the most disappointing postseasons in team history after rolling out to a record-setting regular season. They gagged in the first round. Then they lose Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci to retirement. Had to trade Taylor Hall for cap reasons. But they still got Pasta, Marchand, McAvoy, Lindholm, Ullmark, Swayman all back. They brought in Lucic, JVR, and Shattenkirk, short money replacements. Gee, it looks like this kid, Matt Patra, is going to stick with the big club after a very impressive camp for the 19-year-old forward. I don't think they're going to have a cakewalk to the playoffs this year, Whit. What do you have the Bruins doing? Do they even make it?
So I have them in. So yes, that means I have the Panthers out. I have the Bruins in. I look at a ton of worries, a ton of maybe things to panic about. But then I look at the defense and the goalies. Yeah. And for me, it's like the longevity of the season and Montgomery. Now, granted, it was 1 year and it was this incredible, wild, legendary run in the regular season. I think that he's able to at least get this team to play a certain way and he knows how they need to play to win. So while losing Krejci and Bergeron is just kind of nightmare fuel up top, not to mention Bertuzzi and Hall, they have that core of solid D-men and two great goalies, not just one. The worry is, and now, Marchand and Pasta, lock them both up for what, 80 to 95 points. I don't know if Pasta goes on the run goal scoring wise they did last year. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get 40 to 50. So those two guys, you know what you got. Then we talk about Zacha and Coyle down the middle. That's like just such a drop off in terms of what they had. The worry is like, I think those guys can play. I think Zacha, Pasha can't stand him. I think that guy's a really good player. First line's a huge step up.
I think the comments were that he'll disappear for like a 5 to 7.
And he was able to do it last year where he played. And now this year he can't. My thing is with this team, if there's any injuries up front, they're fucked. Mm-hmm. There's no depth there. And now is it what's the kid's name? Poitras?
Patra.
Patois?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I kind of like that more than Poitras.
Matty P.
Patois. So if you all of a sudden have this kid step in and like nobody even thought about him, who knows, right?
Bruins always seem to get a guy like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like who would have imagined Pasta would have done what he did?
Yep.
Like Pasta was a high pick though.
No, he fell to the end of the first round.
End of the first round.
14.
No,
like 27. Was that McAvoy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But
and this kid was early second, right?
Even a guy like McAvoy, mid first round, like those are fucking.
I know.
Marchand was not like a big deal coming in.
You're right. But the Bruins drafting hasn't been great. But if this Patois lights it up, all of a sudden that's a little heat off Don Sweeney and his drafting.
A little bit, yeah.
So considering nobody even said anything about him, but he lit up the OHL. I mean, this kid, it looks like one of those things where he's definitely getting the look at the beginning of the season. And in terms of what I saw and what I've read, I don't know how much he has left to give in the OHL, right? So it's like, it's hard for them to send him back, right? He would be going back.
He would be going back. He was fourth in the OHL last year in points. He led the team, the Bruins, in the preseason this year in points. He's been playing with Marchand and DeBrusk on that top line. All signs point to the Bruins finding their number one center and Matty P.
Ooh.
I'm all in on this kid. I fucking love him. It's a bridge year too for the Bruins. I like the Bruins a lot this year. I think they make the playoffs, but there's a lot of exciting things about this Bruins team where you still have Pastrnak, you still have Marchand, you still have McAvoy, but there's a lot of kids now that they can insert in the lineup, which that hasn't happened in years for the Bruins. It's always been veteran teams. Mason Larai, this kid out of Ohio State, Johnny Beecher, the first round pick from Michigan, and then you have like guys like Fabio Marcel too. Like it
would suck if last year happened and you didn't have anything to look forward to, but I'm going to say they make playoffs, but just on a cultural standpoint. Like they didn't lose enough to like not understand how to show up and be a Bruin and how to carry yourself. They have enough weapons. You summarized it perfectly. I love their defense, love their goaltending. Their wings are fine. My concern, obviously, with the middle of the ice is just sustainable offense. Like last year when Coyle and throughout his time with the Bruins, when they've lost Bergeron or they've lost a top guy, he's stepped in and played awesome. Like last year,
playoffs too.
Last year they didn't have him. I want to say the big boys in games like 2, 3, and
3 and 4, and that was the best games they played.
And I think he contributed. I think he scored a goal and he stepped it up. But to do it over the course of 82 games with having to like play his game, which is kind of a shutdown center role, but also put up 65, 70 points. I don't know. Maybe with playing with better wings and better players, that's going to happen. But I don't know, man. It's hard to turn that third line checker type guy into all of a sudden a 22-minute guy.
Little interesting tidbit we found out this weekend though is remember we interviewed Alex Tuck a couple years ago and he said this guy completely like reinvented his skating style. Well, he told us the other day that Charlie Coyle has now gone to this guy and he's working on.
I was there when Coyle came. I was working with him
to be able to maybe keep up at those top speeds.
Apparently, that's what Tuck was saying. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it was a guy I worked with, Francois Mathot in Rochester. Charlie came out and worked with us. I don't think I'm much help for him. But anyway, Bruins, you got Montgomery, you got Pasta.
Yeah.
Julia. I got them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I can't go against him. I don't want his agent coming after me if we don't have him in the playoffs.
Julia came over to me. He said, Wick, can you do this like little ad for Pink Whitney during Chiclets Cup? So I did it. And then she walked away. I'm like, thanks, Julia. And this kid's head snapped. He goes, that's Julia? That's Julia? I go, yeah, that's her. He's like, holy shit, where's Pasta? No, I don't think the kid had ever, put a face to her name. So it was funny.
Yeah, they're in. Monty's the man. He wins wherever he goes. He'll get him in the playoffs, and who knows?
Yeah, we all have men 16-1 to win the cup. And Morgan Geeky was another guy I meant to mention that they added as well.